Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Buffalo Fanatics proudly brings to you. Oh, I don't want to my wrestling bang, but y'all know what it is.
All right, welcome into the Rico Report. It is Friday night, and if you think Rico has changed, it's because he's not here tonight. I am Jeff Landers. I am joined by my man Clay Troya and my man Zach B. We are filling in for Rico tonight. It is Rico's birthday. Happy birthday to you up in Canada, good sir. Guys, if you already know how old Rico is, you don't have to join in this game, but I do want to play a game with the fans tonight just to see if you guys know how old Rico is. Clay, first of all, do you know?
I have no idea. No.
Zach, do you know how old Rico is?
He looks great. So I don't know. I feel like the reason you're asking is because it might be higher than anybody would guess. But I'm gonna go with, let me take a guess. I'm gonna guess tonight he's 33 years old.
Okay. So, dirt is not an acceptable answer to this question. All right. But I do want to play a game. I will give you some hints. We already got some comments coming in to see if they are right. I want to give you some hints using Bills numbers. There's no one wearing this jersey number for the Bills this year. But the last player to wear the jersey number of Rico's age was Dante Johnson in 2018, who played in one game. Clay, off the top of your head, do you know?
I don't know. 37? I don't think we have a 37 on the roster.
Okay, that is not it. Zach, it is not 37.
32?
It is not 32 because we have nobody where. Well, I did say we have nobody, but that would be an O.J. Simpson number.
Sure.
Sonoris Perry was the last person to wear 32. All right, one more. I'm going to switch person. Let's see. I'm not going to give you the name of this person. I'm going to give you hints to this person for Rico's age. This person played for the Bills from 2003 to 2005, 3 seasons.
Oh, that's all
Play.
Damn.
Oh, I got more.
This is, I don't know. It's got to be 30s. So it can't be 35 because we had Williams who was wearing 35 recently. It can't be that. 36, we've definitely had somebody. We might have someone now that's at 36.
This person is not the last person. So
Okay.
I'm trying to give you So I did not go from Dante Johnson in 2018 to this last person in 2003.
2018. So actually, I think it was Ford was the last one to wear 35. But I feel like that might have been, what did that have been before? I'll guess 35.
It is not 35. Zach, one more hint.
Because like these hints are making it harder for me, I think.
In 3 years with the Bills, this person had 3 interceptions, 274 tackles, and 8 sacks.
How many interceptions?
3 INTs.
31?
No guesses. Not 31. All right. We signed this player the week of opening day. Zach. He played from 2003 to 2005. We signed him the week of opening day.
Dude, I'm nowhere on it, man. I got nothing. I'm just going to keep firing mid-30s.
Okay. Clay, you're next.
What have we guessed so far?
Okay, Scott Vanilo, ding, 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 ding. What is Rico calls it? The Bing Squad. Thank you for the super chat. He is not 27 years old, Scott, but appreciate that for dropping in.
It can't be 31. It can't be 33. It can't be 32. 34 is retired. 35, we guessed. Did we guess 36 already?
You did not guess 36.
Is that what it is?
It is 36. And the player, we signed him the week of the season opener in 2003. He came from New England.
Lawyer Malloy?
Lawyer Malloy, 36.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Rico, happy birthday, 36, buddy. Hope you're enjoying your night up there in old Canada. Clay and Zach and I have things down for you. Josh Quaintance in with a correct answer. And a whole bunch of you in the comment section got it beforehand, but I just didn't want to give these jokers the answer. I wanted them to get on and guess and start the show right. I see we got I don't even want to bring that up, Josh Quaintance. You got the answer right, but your previous comment, man, that is woof. Okay, so if you want to get in on this show, hit that freaking super chat. Get in with Clay and Zach B and myself. It is a good bye week for the Buffalo Bills. And why do I say a good bye week? Because the bye week always comes at a great time. But I think after such a heartbreaking, disappointing loss against the Arizona Cardinals on Sunday, we could use a break going into the final 6 games of our season. And one of the things we're going to do tonight is to say goodbye to the things we didn't like from the first half of the season. And one of the things I'm going to say goodbye to right off the top of the bat, guys, and I want your opinions on this as well. Goodbye to the 300-yard passing game threshold. Goodbye. Good riddance. Get out of here. Zach, give me your thoughts.
When you say that, you mean like goodbye to setting that as something that we want to achieve every week and it's kind of an anomaly, or
just goodbye to the haters, first of all. Josh didn't have a 300-yard game. We don't even need it as a benchmark for Josh anymore. I mean, I think it was the following. So he got 300 yards in the Jets game, and then was it Miami or it was the Rams game? He had 300 in the first half, if I remember correctly.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So
280 something in the first half. Yeah.
Goodbye to the 300-yard passing threshold. Okay, that's my number one. Clay, do you have anything you want to say goodbye to?
Yeah, for me, it's low-scoring games in general. I think at this point, it wasn't that long ago that we were, it was just a grudge match. I think it was a 9-3 game comes to mind between the Bills and the Panthers early in the season, when we had Tyrod Taylor at the quarterback position, and it was like we just couldn't score. It was impossible to drive down the field, and it just felt like every drive was stalling. It's a completely different team from that now. We can say goodbye to, being like, well, our defense has to give up less than 16 points a game or we're not going to win anything, because the offense can actually go out and score points now, which is good because the defense has decided they don't even want to stop at 20 points. They can't even stop that many. So, I mean, goodbye to low scoring games. It's going to be a lot of shootouts for the rest of the year until Matt Milano's healthy again, at least, because Josh Allen can sling the ball. We can drive down the field to score points. And that defense has been letting up a lot more than usual.
Okay, my man Pierre Kingpin getting in on the action. Goodbye to not having a franchise QB. JA17 MVP Pierre. You're the MVP with the comments section early on with that one. Okay, Zach B, give me your goodbye. It is a goodbye week.
I want to say goodbye to poor defense. And the reason I want to say that is we have 2 straight weeks against 2 of the best offenses in the NFL, where the Bills D just so happen to have their 2 best games of the year. The scoreboard might not indicate it, but they, in both those games, were the difference maker, especially in Arizona. If the Bills D didn't show up the way they did against Arizona, the Bills wouldn't even have had a chance to try to go down and take the lead prior to what we all know. I don't even want to refer to it anymore. But the way that they were able to make stops in the fourth quarter, especially get turnovers, they hadn't been able to get turnovers much all year. They got a ton against Russell Wilson, who up until that game really wasn't turning the ball much over at all. And they led that into an Arizona game where I think that they really needed to maintain Kyler Murray because we obviously knew that 30 points was probably going to be a given for a team like that. And they did as good of a job as they could of holding them underneath of that. Obviously, they only broke over the 30-point margin due to the Hail Mary, but they held them to 9 points at the half, forced numerous turnovers, and gave the Bills offense a chance. And you got to remember, the Bills offense was not doing anything to help them out in the second half. So for the last 2 weeks, I have no reason to believe that the Bills D can't compete with the best of them moving forward as the season goes on.
All right, if you have something you want to say goodbye to that you really want to get in, don't forget the super chat. I actually have the Bills app up, so if we get a good super chat with a good comment, I'm going to give you the train horn. I don't have a
You
like
picked
that.
everyone's favorite sound effect too.
Yeah.
well, and you know what? I can turn the app off. Oh, here we go.
See, it's coming in already.
Scott Vanillo, $20. I'm going to give you the train horn again, just to annoy everybody. Do you ever notice when we ever lose a game, or even when a great game, they talk about the losing team more than they talk about Buffalo Bills? Perfect example, the Seattle game, they talked about a Russell Wilson more.
Yeah.
Well, Scott, thank you very much. I think I'm going to retire the train horn for tonight. Although if you do hear one, I could step outside my office and spit to Union Pacific train tracks. So it won't be my app for the rest of the night. Zach, what did you think about Scott's comment?
So I think it's an accurate comment because nobody ever seems to want to give the Bills credit, and they always want to seem to give credit to everybody else when things go right. Kyler Murray was 11 seconds away from losing that game last week. A Hail Mary occurs, a 1 in a million play. The next day, he's the leading MVP candidate throughout major media and the majority of the sports talk shows that I watched on Monday. If he doesn't throw that pass, it's not even a conversation yet. He gets lucky with an incredible once-in-a-lifetime play. All of a sudden, he's at the top of the list. To his point, back to the Seattle game, it wasn't, oh my God, the Bills just scored 44 points and they had the best defensive outing they've had all year. It was, oh, what's going on with Russell Wilson? He turned the ball over 4 times. We thought he was an MVP candidate going into the game. What did you ever think maybe that had a lot to do with what the Bills D did schematically? And did it have a lot to do with what the Bills offense was able to exploit in a really bad Seattle defense? I just feel like I agree with that because every time the Bills do something good, it's discredited by who they play against on Sunday. Every time they've had a good win this season, it was relegated basically because the opponent was too weak. And then every time they've had a bad loss, it's either Josh Allen's fault or Josh Allen's fault. I mean, you don't really ever see any other excuses. So I think it's a good point, and I wish it would stop because either way, win or lose, it never seems to be anything that's accurate.
Clay, we had Pierre get in with the goodbye to 12-yard punts. I love you, Pierre. You are hilarious. But Clay, I got one more coming up. Goodbye to catches that get called interceptions, a la Tyler Kroft in the Rams game. What do you remember about being about that play? I'm assuming you were mad like the rest of us.
Yeah, it was just infuriating. I mean, because I don't know how you mess up that call, especially even if you're gathering, if you're doing a committee meeting after that, the referees, how do you mess that up? If tie goes to the offense, if the offensive guy goes up, he has possession of it as he comes down to the ground, and then the defender rips it out of his hands after they're on the ground for 5 seconds already, and you call that an interception somehow? I mean, that was just a completely ridiculous situation. And then kind of to Scott, I believe was the guy who
Scott.
Yeah, Scott, to Scott's point a little bit. A lot of people blamed the refs for the Rams losing that game because there was a pass interference call on a 4th down in the red zone right before the Tyler Kroft game-winning touchdown. So, if people didn't watch the whole game and they just watched the last drive, they're like, oh, the refs blew it for the Rams. How could they have done that to the Bill, or how could they have done that to the Rams? Well, the thing that we had an interception call earlier that should have never in a million years been an interception. And that was also Josh's first interception of the season. He had a clean record until that point. And then, he didn't really throw a real interception until halfway through the Titans game when, he didn't see Malcolm Butler hanging out underneath, because the interception he threw before that was a deflected pass from off of Andre Roberts' hands. It wasn't a great pass, but, he still should have caught it. So, yeah, I mean, things like that are just ridiculous. And I don't know if it'll ever stop because it's the Bills. And, a lot of people just tend to overlook the Bills. And I think because of the history, it's hard to kind of get over that hump.
It is the small market bias. Having come from the East Coast, now living in Idaho, I can tell you that there is an East Coast bias. but having been in the television industry, there is definitely a small market bias. I mean, even around here when I was working in TV, the 5A schools got the publicity as opposed to the 1A or 2A schools. So it's even more amplified when you get to the national stage. You know, the Dallas, the Philly, New York's, New England's, the big markets get all of that publicity. And what Scott says just points to that bias because Bills Mafia is Buffalo's not one of the bigger markets. Bills Mafia is incredibly loyal and carries the Bills, but it is that small town bias, small market bias, I should say. All right, Zach, you got another something you want to say goodbye to on this bye week?
Can it be something that I want to say goodbye to, and I'm not exactly sure if it's going to leave?
Yeah, we're going to put it out there.
All right, I'm going to speak it into existence. I want to say bye to the third quarter woes. This team in the third quarter, it doesn't get worse. 28th in scoring in the third quarter, and it's the only quarter out of all four for this team that's in a negative differential. They are in the plus in every other quarter. The third quarter, I don't know what it is. It is atrocious, and it is the reason that they probably lost against the Cardinals on Sunday. It's the reason a lot of these games have been closer than they probably needed to be. The third quarter has been atrocious for the Bills all year. Even against the Jets, they couldn't find a way to win the third quarter. And Sean McDermott was asked about it in his post-game presser after the Cardinals game. He didn't even seem to have an answer. He said it was something they're going to look into during the bye week here. But what does it come down to? Because it's now 11 weeks through the year and they have not fixed it. And they haven't really seemed to come up with anything schematically or execution wise in order to sort of, come to terms with the fact that the third quarter is probably the biggest issue for this team right now going forward. When you look at their schedule, there's some tough opponents coming up, obviously, and obviously we have the playoffs right around the corner. You can't afford to take a quarter off, especially in the second half, and especially when you have a lead, 23-9 in the third quarter. The Bills found a way to give up 17 points against the Cardinals, and there's numerous other examples throughout the year. So if there's anything that I truly want to say goodbye to, it is the terrible third quarters. It's really holding this team back. If they can figure that out, we all know the sky's the limit.
I'm going to smash the like button on that comment. And if you're out there watching, give us a like, hit share, get more than 54 people in the room with us. Clay, Zach just stole one of my goodbyes to McDermott said that the coaching staff would do a deep dive on it during the bye week. So hopefully they're figuring it out, because if they knew what was wrong with the third quarter, we wouldn't be talking about it. What are your thoughts on the third quarter? And I do want to bring up that Sal Capaccio over at WGR tweeted out something that said drives are noted in the quarter in which they end. So if you start a drive with 2 minutes left in the third quarter, but it carries over into the fourth, that becomes a fourth quarter drive. And he tweeted out some stats that would have adjusted our point differential with drives that started in the third quarter but ended. But what's your thought on the third quarter? I mean, are they eating the wrong bananas at halftime, Clay?
Yeah, it's kind of a really strange occurrence because it's been over and over and over. Every week we can basically expect that there's going to be a lull in the third quarter. I think a lot of it falls back on coaching, because when you go into the locker room at halftime, you make your adjustments. And I think that the only reason that it could be, that consistent is that the Bills coaches are going in there and they're not adjusting as well as the other team. And I think part of that is also due to the fact that the Bills usually have a really good first half. So they may be going into halftime thinking, we got this in the bag, we're playing great right now, what are we going to adjust? We're killing them. And then the other team makes their adjustments, and then the Bills are like, crap, well, now we know what they're going to do to counter us, so we have to come back in the fourth quarter and do really well. But to kind of bounce off of that third quarter, I think another thing we should say goodbye to is counting ourselves out before the game is over, because it doesn't matter how bad of a third quarter we have. Josh Allen's there in the fourth to bring us back. And it seems like, no matter how bad that third quarter is, he's usually able to pull us back out of that rut. And that's been consistent as well. So I think that that's something that we can kind of look forward to, where it's like, okay, bad third quarter, but here comes fourth quarter Josh.
Yeah, third quarter Josh, leading into fourth quarter Josh, because I think that he just wants to put the team on his back when it gets to the fourth quarter, because he hates losing. Part of me thinks that sometimes it's not about just winning, it's the not wanting to lose for Josh Allen. He hates losing. But speaking of Josh Allen, I got one more goodbye. I've got a full list of them, but one more I want to get out there is a goodbye to Josh's left shoulder injury when he left the first half in week 4 at Las Vegas. It really seemed to affect him the next 4 weeks. And then all of a sudden he comes out against Seattle. He doesn't have the sling on his shoulder anymore, and he's ripping the ball all over the place. And I think that was indicative of the first 3.5 games, where Josh was throwing the ball all over the yard. His receivers were doing them well, just getting out there, getting open, and catching what he's throwing. So goodbye to Josh's left shoulder injury, and I think he can return to that form that we saw in the first quarter of the season in the final 6 games here without that sling on his shoulder. Clay, you got something else you want to say goodbye to?
Yeah, I've seen a couple of people talking about it in the chat. Goodbye to O-line inconsistency. You know, there's been some talk about O-line here and there. I think that's one that I really want to say goodbye to at this point in the season, is the consistency on the O-line. So, we know that they're going to do a deep dive for the offensive line. You know, we heard McDermott talking a little bit, saying, you know, Mitch Morse, was he a starter? You know, was he benched? He couldn't really give a straight answer. So I thought that was a little bit of a strange thing. And I think really they don't even know who the best guys are that they can put out there. So I'm hoping that their deep dive pays off. I watched some of the film myself this week, and I was watching a little bit, and honestly, the guard play is just so inconsistent at this point. Both Butker and Winters, who have played those guard positions for most of the season, they've been so inconsistent. I mean, sometimes, Winters, you'll see a lot of him. You won't even notice he's there. It's like, yeah, good play. You did exactly what you were supposed to do. Keep in mind, they don't ever run to his side. So it makes him look good a lot of the time because they're not running over there. And then every once in a while, he'll just make such a boneheaded play where he's going to block a linebacker. He's free, and he just falls down in front of the guy. It's you against a linebacker. That's the matchup that we want. And then it's the same thing with Ike Butker. If he gets to the second level, they can't block the linebackers. I don't understand how it's been reoccurring on film here and there. It's how do you miss those linebackers when you're the guard who's supposed to go block them? So inconsistency in the line. I want to see Mitch Morse at center, John Feliciano at the left guard position, and then whoever wants to show a little bit of nasty in the right guard position, put him in there, because we need to have a change up, and then we need to stick with it once we're there.
I like the comments. Zach, what do you think about what Clay is saying? Because as I look up at my whiteboard on my wall above my computer, I know it looks weird on the camera for me to be looking above the camera. I have on my position board Lee Smith listed as a tight end, then Dawkins listed on the left side, 3 question marks, then Darrell Williams, and then Croft and Knox listed at the other tight ends. Yeah. 3 question marks, and that was 4 going into the Cardinals game. But it's something we could still be seeing when we come out of the bye week. Hopefully Mitch Morse is healthy, but question mark, because McDermott basically gaslighted his opposing coaches by saying it's a week-to-week decision following the Cardinals game and why Mitch didn't play. So going into the Chargers game, what do you want to see out of the offensive line?
I'd like to say goodbye to healthy scratching Mitch Morse. We found out that he was eligible to play in that game. I don't think the Bills' offensive line is in any position to healthy scratch anybody that would make that line better than what it is, which is not very good. And as you mentioned, the tight end position is probably the biggest question mark on the offensive side of the ball right now at this point too. It's not a matter of, you don't have to go out there and play like Travis Kelce and George Kittle, but why not, instead of not having to be the best player on the field, just don't be a roadblock. Like for Dawson Knox, just don't shove guys in the back. That winds up helping the team. You don't have to be a Hall of Famer, but please don't be a roadblock. That's just the problem I'm witnessing here. They wind up getting in their own way on the line, it seems, causing inadvertent issues. And that winds up leading to one other thing that I wanted to say goodbye to, and that's running the ball. Almost in general, I would say in general, but that's not logical, but running the ball on second and long. I feel like I don't have statistics to say how many times they've done this, but it seems like when I'm watching the game throughout the course of the game, there'll be numerous times where it's like 2nd and 7 or 8 or so, and they'll run the ball off tackle, and they almost never get any yardage on it. And that probably speaks to the offensive line play. But as we know, the Bills rushing offense is almost the last in the league. It's that bad. I think that they waste plays in doing that. And what did they do against Seattle? The complete opposite. They realized the intermediate passing game, it works. Cole Beasley, like it or not, is probably the best slot receiver in the NFL. They didn't fix what wasn't broken against Seattle. They continued to throw the ball because it was working. If you're going to continue to give up plays running the ball and getting 2-3 yards a pop and getting yourselves 3rd and long scenarios, which we found the Bills get into a lot over the course of this season, that's something I'd like to say goodbye to. So obviously the inconsistencies on the offensive line, which leads into poor run play. I don't know. I just think at this point in the season, it's not going anywhere. That's a problem the Bills just are going to have to deal with moving forward. I don't think this far in, you're going to be able to fix that. Obviously, it was at the top of the list. They haven't been able to do much about it. But the nice thing is, I don't think the lack of run game has really killed the Bills much at all this year. They're still 7-3, should be 8-2. They've been throwing the ball so well. The run game, I just don't think it's a huge issue. But if they're going to continue to try and run it, that's the issue. If they know it's not working, you got to just kind of move away from it.
Well, what you're going to need to do if the running game isn't working between the tackles is get them out into space, throw some screen passes, maybe some short balls over the middle. Getting Josh to throw those is a little bit of a question mark, trying to get him to throw those intermediate 5-yard passes because he wants to be in between 15 to 20. But Clay, I am a firm believer that Sean McDermott does not misspeak, that he speaks with intentionality. And after the Arizona game, when he says it's going to be a week-to-week decision, and it was a coach's decision to not play Mitch Morse, I think, to me, he was gaslighting Chargers head coach Anthony Lynn. He's gaslighting Anthony Lynn going into their next game where he doesn't want any of his coaches to know. It's a very Bill Belichickian move. But a lot of fans want to read something into it. A lot of people who like to talk and hear their own voices in their podcast. Do you think that it was in actuality that Mitch Morse might be the highest paid backup center going down the stretch? Or do you think Coach McDermott's just kind of playing some gamesmanship?
He's probably playing games. I mean, and that's, he's a smart coach. And even if not, I mean, I think when they go look at the film, well, another thing that I saw was a lot of the times when Feliciano was in there at the center position, there were some weird scheming things going on. And I don't know if that has to do with the play call itself or if those are calls at the line based on what's in front of you on who's going to block who. But there were a lot of times when there were unnecessary reach blocks. There was a couple times where, it looked like Winters and Feliciano were both trying to block the same guy, and then 2 guys run past both of them. So there was just little things like that here and there where I just don't think Feliciano is as good of a signal caller at that center position of, hey, these are the guys that you need to block based on who's in front of us right now. Mitch Morse has a lot more experience doing that. I think it's better to plug and play Feliciano in a guard position where you can just tell him what to do and he'll go hit somebody because that's what he's good at. So I think let Mitch Morse come back. They were probably being cautious. He's had a lot of concussion history. They don't want him to be out. It's, there's a lot of season left to play. They don't want to miss him for the playoffs and have to have Feliciano back at center. So I think he's probably playing it safe with Mitch Morse, but coming down the stretch, they're going to want to win some games. So they got to put Morse back in at center, or there's going to be more communication issues up there.
All right, if you want to get in on the Bing squad, Rico, it's his birthday tonight. Happy birthday, Rico. Hit us up with that super chat if you want to give Rico a happy birthday message. We will get that on the screen with that super chat. We are saying goodbye to the stuff we don't want to see anymore. Since it is Buffalo's bye week, I've got one here. It's game specific to the Tennessee game, but I don't want to see any more of it. Goodbye to short field positions. Week 5 against the Titans, they had 6 touchdowns. On 4 of those drives, they started at the 16, the 30, the 12, and the 18. The other 2 were 90 and 75 yards, so they went and earned it. But the 4, 16, 30, 12, and 18, goodbye to those short field positions. Zach, what do you remember about the Titans game and basically handing them a victory?
Well, you want to know what I remember the most about it is going into it, something just felt off. The whole thing felt wrong. All of the things surrounding the game, and it just didn't seem fair to the Bills that they had to play that game that week. And I think, you know what, I looked at it as, you know what, if we lose, that'll be the excuse. But it trickled down for about 4 weeks. They did not play good football against the Titans, the Chiefs, in losses, obviously, but they didn't play well in wins against the Jets and the Patriots. I think that was a huge issue. But what I remember the most about it is the fact that after the game was over, I said, I want to play these guys again. Look what's happened with Tennessee really since that game. They have not been playing well. And don't quote me on it, but I'm almost positive if the season ended today, I think Tennessee wouldn't make the playoffs. I think they're out of the picture as of right now. That's how close the seeding is getting as of right now. So Tennessee back at that game looked like they might be the best team in the AFC. They've kind of fallen off a bit. And I just think it was a really bad circumstance for Buffalo. And as you mentioned, Jeff, 4 touchdowns basically in the red zone. They were gifted to the Titans. That just doesn't happen on a game-to-game basis. I really think if the Bills played the Titans again, it would be a much, much better game. I think the Bills definitely have a chance to win. They have a chance to win against everybody. But that game was not indicative of who the Bills really are. They are not 42-16 or whatever it was against the Titans. They're much better. And I hope there comes a chance. You never know. I hope there comes a chance in the near future where we get to see them again. I know we're playing them again next year. But that, out of all things, I just remember that's not who these Bills are, and I look forward to playing these guys again.
Zach, you're exactly right. So Tennessee, I'm looking at the standings right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Tennessee is actually 2 out of the wild card. There's a whole bunch of teams that are 6-3, but Baltimore is the final wild card in the 7-team format. If they miss games and expand to 8 playoff teams right now, Cleveland would get in ahead of Tennessee. But I made an appearance on the Nap Knows Bills podcast that was recorded earlier this week, debuted today. And this is what I said about the Tennessee game. And here's why the Bills didn't look right in the Tennessee game. And before I get to that, that was the first full game of Josh's injury. Having come off that injury in the Raiders game, then they go to Tennessee. That was the first game with that sling on that he went into. But what I know about war, and I said this on the Nap Knows Bills podcast, is that when you have an enemy, a foe that is completely surrounded, all 4 sides, they're going to fight to the death. And going into that game, the Tennessee Titans were completely surrounded by COVID, by league investigations, by the negativity that was brought onto their program because of those first 2 things. That's 3 walls. The 4th wall was the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills were the Titans' only way out of that week and out of that scenario that they stupidly put themselves in. There was no way that the Bills were going to win that game because Tennessee had to go through Buffalo to get out of it. So when you say something felt off, that's probably why. Now, Clay, anything else you want to say goodbye to?
Say goodbye. I mean, honestly, just complacency in general. I feel like every year when Bills fans look at the schedule for the coming season, it's it's always I don't think we can beat them. I don't think we can beat them. We might do okay this year. I don't know. And maybe we'll do okay. Maybe we'll be over 500. I don't that talk should be completely gone at this point. I think every year when we get the schedule from now on, we could say, yeah, we could win all these games. It's just we're not going to. We're going to lose a couple, but there is a chance that we could win every single one of these games on the schedule. I think that's the point that the Bills are at right now. Especially with the offense being what it is. I don't think there's any team in the NFL that, if they play the Bills 10 times in a row, that the Bills wouldn't win at least 3 of those. So, it might not happen every time. It might not be that probable, but the Bills are able to beat anybody on the schedule, anybody in the league at this point. And I think that, the any given Sunday mentality kind of goes into play a little bit there, but there are worse teams that have beat better teams. So the Bills are definitely in that conversation where they're able to beat anyone.
I saw a comment that in the comment section that said goodbye to Tuesday and Monday night matinees. I had that one written down again. I hope the Bills never have to play on a Tuesday night again. That just was not fun, especially having to put in 2 game plans in the same week. I think really that was one of the other reasons, Zach, that the Bills did not look good against the Titans, because they didn't know who they were going to play until I think it was about 3 days beforehand that they finally got official word that they're going to Tennessee. And then to come out and play Kansas City, I really was the only game I thought they were overmatched, and that was in the second half. The running game from the Kansas City Chiefs, Edwards-Helaire, they just took it to them. And what I said on the pregame show last week was after the Seattle game, the Seattle defensive game plan seemed to be a direct correlation of what failed against the Kansas City Chiefs, having that great quarterback. And okay, well, that didn't work the first time. Let's try something different. And they got after Russell Wilson going into that Seattle game. And then last week against the Cardinals, 32-30, we all know and can say goodbye to DeAndre Hopkins, at least for now, because we know we're going to see it 100 more times before the Super Bowl. Clay, when Kyler was scrambling to his left, what were you thinking?
Pretty much I was thinking, well, he's going to have to throw it away. There's no way he's going to be able to, and if he does throw it up, it's going to be a prayer. I was right. It was a prayer. And DeAndre Hopkins answered it. It's something that's seldom going to happen. I think Trey White, if he didn't get plowed through by Jordan Poyer, would have made the play. He had his hand in there, and even though he did get slammed by Jordan Poyer, he still almost pulled the ball out. But you can't really compete with the pure hand size of DeAndre Hopkins. His giant mitts on that ball, like it was not coming out of there. So it was one of those things, and you can't really do anything about it. I mean, I know it's not going to be over for me until Zach stopped making memes about it, because I know that that's his coping mechanism for it. He's been sending them in the chat and everything, posting them on Twitter. So as soon as I stop seeing those, then I know it's time to finally move on from it.
And I did stop, by the way. So maybe it's time, although I don't feel like I've moved on just yet. I ran out of ideas, I think.
All right, Zach. Here's my thought on I don't even, we can say goodbye to the Hail Mary catch, but what I want to say goodbye to is not giving Josh a Hail Mary chance. What was the special teams play at the end of that game? We had 2 seconds left. You field the ball with a knee on the ground and they're going to blow it dead. So you give your quarterback a chance to heave it because he's got the arm strength to do it. But it was Micah Hyde. And he threw the ball. I think it was Cole Beasley, if I remember correctly. He threw the ball backwards toward Cole Beasley. It just went over his head and out of bounds. And well, there goes the ball game. I think Buffalo may have just wanted to get to the airplanes. But how could you not just pick up the ball with a knee on the ground and give Josh a chance? Say goodbye to not having an end of game plan.
I just want you to think of this scenario for a second. The Bills go down. Game-winning drive, 34 seconds left. Kyler Murray, Hail Mary, 11 seconds left. 1 second left. Josh Allen hits a Hail Mary to win it. You could book it right there. It'd be the greatest game in the history of the NFL. But that kick return, if you ask me, that was a result of a team who just watched themselves lose on maybe one of the greatest plays in the history of the league. I think that they were all so stunned. What killed me the most is the shot of Stefan Diggs, where he's literally just standing there with a massive smile on his face, shaking his head, and I think he said, like, that was awesome. That's what he said. Like, he was just like, real recognizes real, like 2 of the best in the game, 2 of the best to do it. I think the reason that lateral was what it was and that kick was what it was is because they just, I think all of us took about 5 minutes of sitting there and really wondering if that actually just happened. I know for me personally, it didn't register for about 24 hours. I couldn't imagine 30 seconds later having to run out onto the field and try and, drum up a Music City miracle to get the ball into the end zone. So, I mean, that just was what it was, man. And I know Clay said it isn't over until I'm done making memes. I've retired the memes for now, but I'm telling you, man, I don't think I'm ever going to get over that one. That one is going to sting for a very long time.
Well, I also said on the Nap Knows Bills podcast that we should not burn the Arizona tape because we're going to see the Cardinals again. Clay, are we going to see the Cardinals again this season?
No, they're not going to make it to the Super Bowl.
Yes.
All right. If you want to get a happy birthday shout out, get in on the super chat. Let us know what your message for Rico is tonight. Rico is happy birthday. Lawyer Malloy's jersey number, his age. So some of you have guessed it already. I want to say goodbye to Bill Belichick's streak at Buffalo.
Took mine. Yes.
Was 8 straight and 15 out of 16. Thank you to Justin Zimmer and Dean Marlowe for sending Bill Belichick back to New England with a loss in Orchard Park. And there were not fans in the stands to taunt them going off the field. So goodbye to Bill Belichick's streak at New England. Hopefully we can go into New England and get a victory. Why can I not think of the name of the town? The stadium, Foxborough. Yes. You know what? It's a daunting place. Nobody ever really wants to think of it anyway. So Foxborough, Massachusetts, which is actually closer to Providence, Rhode Island. So the Patriots are Providence's team. Goodbye to Bill Belichick's streak at Buffalo. And my last one, guys, goodbye to field goals instead of touchdowns. And we all know what game we're talking about. Week 7 against the New York Jets. Tyler Bass, straight Bass, homie, hitting 6 out of 8 field goal attempts, which I am perfectly fine with. He's a rookie kicker. He had 8 attempts in a game. If you make 3 out of 4 in 2 different games, nobody's really saying anything. So, Zach, rookie kicker, what are your thoughts on Tyler Bass?
I'm all in on Tyler Bass, man. I love him. Last week, he's the only kicker in the history of the NFL to make 350-plus yarders in a single quarter. That's a rookie, man. I mean, we don't see that get done ever. He did it in his first year. In the beginning of the year, we got to remember his first kick of his career should have counted, and it didn't. It was in, and for God knows what reason, another one of those fluke calls, kind of like with the interception against the Rams. It just didn't go our way. I can't help but think that frazzled him a bit. I mean, it's his first kick. We all know that he has an absolute monster leg. I mean, even Madden, who rates people the worst you could possibly imagine, I think he had a 94 kick power going into the game his rookie year. I mean, he's known for having a boot. And I think that in that game against the Jets, people did get upset that he missed a couple, right? But what happened if he missed a couple more? I mean, in reality, he did win the game for the Bills. They could not score a touchdown. And like it or not, even though he missed a couple field goals, he made enough to get the job done. And then what I see in the Arizona game, 3 field goals that I don't know if a lot of kickers in the NFL are making 3 straight from 50 deep, especially in one quarter. Think about how different the game is if Tyler Bass even misses one of those before half. I mean, the Bills had all of the momentum going into half, and especially right before Tyler Bass gets another one. So I'm completely sold on him, and I always was from the beginning because everybody wanted Hauschka back, but I couldn't help but think if Hauschka was worthy of having the job, do you really think the Bills staff would have taken a rookie in over him and just let him walk? You never see rookie kickers get starts. So that really told me that the coaching staff saw something in him that was worthy of giving him the start. And look what's happened over the course of the season. He's gotten much, much better. He single-handedly won us a game against the Jets, and he had his best game of his career and probably for his career in general. I don't see him making 350-plus yarders in a quarter again anytime soon. So I love what I see from Tyler Bass, and I think it's just one more piece of this puzzle for this Bills team where everything seems to kind of come together. There's so many similarities to the late 90s, which is what I love about this team. There's all these different pieces that you love, and there's all these different pieces that you're going to like remember, right? And yeah. I think that when I think of Tyler Bass, a rookie kicker who I think everybody wanted out of Buffalo like the first week or two, I think a lot of people really love him now. And I love that. It's a cool story. I'm pumped for Tyler Bass, and I'm excited to keep watching him.
Don't forget to hit that smash that like button, I should say, and get in on the Bing Biggity Bing squad. My thoughts on Tyler Bass, you're right. His first kick should have counted, and then he missed another one that was laces. Turn the laces, Boho. And there's at least one more kick out there that he missed that were laces related. And our man Reed Ferguson went on the Rockpile Report with season ticket holder Drew Gear and said that that's his fault for giving the laces to Boho. Shout out to Drew. I was actually going to introduce myself as former season ticket holder tonight, just because Drew does that on his podcast. But that cannot be on the long snapper. Boho's got to turn the laces over. Clay, what are your thoughts with Tyler Bass and the final 6 games? We've got weather games. We've got Monday night. We've got Sunday night. We've got at Denver and at New England after Christmas. Cold games. His leg strength is going to be important, but I think his mind game as a rookie might be even more so.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Really, is that the game of kicking in the NFL, it's all a mind game. It's about your mentality and your momentum. So, do you have the confidence to be able to go out there and make a kick from anywhere on the field? I think Bass is there right now. We saw that when he made 350 plus yarders in one game. That's really good. That's only been done a few other times in an entire game. It's only been happened, a couple other times in NFL history. So he can make them from anywhere. He's got a lot of confidence right now. They drafted him for the big leg. That was the whole reason that they wanted him to come in, is because he can make those big field goal kicks. And I think with, kind of the way that, kind of the NFL offense is moving, is they might want to go for it more if they're close to the end zone. They don't want to even take those short field goals as much, because I think, it's kind of is, if the risk is there, if it's a 4th and short and you're, on the 25-yard line or something like that, is it worth it to go for that? Or do you want to take the safe points? I think McDermott likes to take a shot sometime on those. So I think that kind of goes along with it, because they want to be able to, hey, we're too far away to go for it. But we've got this guy out here. One of the kicks he made would have been good from like 65. So he could basically kick it from, center field. So it's good to have a guy like that, because at any point, you don't have to drive it that far. That's basically an Andre Roberts kick return and one play away, and then Bass can make the field goal from there.
I was almost thinking that Micah Hyde should have given the fair catch signal on a kickoff, because then you can line up for the field goal, I believe is the rule, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
that would have been, I don't know, maybe 75, 80-yard attempt, just to see if he could do it. Come on. I mean, what's the difference? Tyler Bass's leg, Josh Allen's arm, they could both get it there. I mean, come on. All right, so I think that's about it for our goodbye portion of the bye week episode. But I also want to do a hello. We got 6 games left, guys. We're going to say hello to what we want to see down the stretch, or even what we're staring at in the face. My first one is first place. Hello to first place in week 12. No matter what happens on the bye, the Bills will be in first place going into week 12. Now, when was the last time that happened? I was going to ask you guys off the cuff, but I'm like, I can't do that. I actually got to go do research. The last time they were tied with New England at 7-3 after week 11 in 1996.
I wasn't even born yet. That is unbelievable. That is unbelievable.
Clay, were you born?
What was the date?
1996, week 11, 1996.
Yeah, I was a few months old at that point. So just born, fresh baby. Yeah, that would have been the last time for me.
Okay, so they were tied at 7-3 with New England after week 11, and they had the division lead at 8-3 after week 12, and they eventually lost the division to the Patriots, because the last Bills division championship was 1995. The Indianapolis Colts actually have a more recent AFC East division championship than the Buffalo Bills do, and they're not even in the AFC East anymore. So hello to first place in week 12. Clay, give me something to say hello to with 6 games to go.
Hello to a 21st century offense. We've been waiting for so long to have a passing offense. The closest thing we had to a real passing offense in the 21st century, we had Drew Bledsoe for a little bit. He was kind of, he's at the tail end of his career. And even still, they didn't really do that much with him. The best they did was get to the Willie Parker game and blow it. So, I think it's finally time. We had a little bit of Fitzpatrick with Chan Gailey back in the day. He could sling it around, but it wasn't quite there yet. It wasn't well-rounded. It wasn't refined. We finally have a 21st century offense where we can throw the ball down the field. We can throw it anywhere on the field. And we have the quarterback that has the ability to do that. We have the wide receivers that we can line up anywhere, in the slot, outside, coming out of the backfield. They can play anywhere. And, I think Dable might not be great at scheming run plays, but he is very good at scheming pass plays. He knows how to create openings and make those guys get open, and they know how to feed their guys. Stefan Diggs, Stefan Diggs can get open from in anywhere, and they target him the most. They say, let's feed our guy who can get open. And that is exactly what they need to be doing. And no more Greg Roman run the ball 50 times a game.
I got a comment I want to read from John Yadis. I have a corduroy Super Bowl hat older than y'all. Well, I am not in my 20s. Clay and Zach are going to be in their 20s, but I am actually I'm older than the Super Bowl years. So you can say your corduroy Super Bowl hat is older than those two babies. And Pierre just keeps spinning the comments. Love you, Pierre, for jumping in. If you want to get your comment on the screen, hit that super chat. I'll give you the train horn. The next person with a super chat gets the train horn. I thought I retired it in the first 5 minutes of the show, but I will get that train horn out again. Zach, something you want to say hello to?
Well, first shout out to Pierre, because that made me laugh, because I've gotten this label as being the pessimistic guy, and it's probably because of that. Like, when you're talking about stuff like that, like, oh, the last time the Bills were even tied for the division lead through week 11, I wasn't even a thought yet. So I just thought that was funny. But something that I want to say hello to, I am 23. So
again,
my life, basically from memory, it was just the drought. Like, my life was the drought, and that was it. So yeah, I mean, conditioned to thinking that, things are going to go a certain way, which is why I like Clay's point earlier, because I'm trying to come back around to that. Clay mentioned how we can compete with everybody we can. And, it's time to stop thinking, oh, it's a big game coming up, we don't have a chance. I thought about that the other day, because the Thursday night game last night was obviously Cardinals Seahawks. And I thought to myself, wow, huge game, two great teams. Like, that's awesome. And then I thought to myself, the Bills realistically beat both those teams, right? In air quotes, they beat both those teams. So it's like, it's tough to think about it that way. You're like, oh, two huge heavyweight teams dogfighting for their division. The Bills are better than both of them. So it's like, it's a cool thing to come around to and realize. It's the first time really in my life. So it's awesome. But the one thing I want to say hello to, and I think it's something we've been wanting to say hello to for a long time, it's primetime football. The Bills would have 4 primetime games this year. They've arrived. And the national markets have realized the Bills bring in viewers. Last year, we had the most views Thanksgiving game, and I think ever. The game against the Steelers had massive ratings. I think it was one of the more viewed Sunday night games for NBC. We have 3 of our remaining 6 games on primetime. I want to say goodbye to losing in primetime, because we've had 2 primetime losses this year of our 3 losses. However, those weren't necessarily legitimate primetime games. So
we were undefeated on Sundays until Sunday.
Absolutely.
We were. And you stole mine, because I had written down scheduled primetime games.
Yes.
Now, I think having to go to Tennessee on a Tuesday and then host Kansas City on Monday, when you should have been playing them on Thursday, I think Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane are smart enough to use every disadvantage and turn it into an advantage. And they probably told the league, hey, you're not flexing us anymore. The rest of the season, our schedule is what it is. Now, the Denver game is still TBA. I fully expect Drew Lock and the Broncos to host the Bills on a Saturday nationally televised game. I would be okay with that, because it has been TBA all season. And I think the coaches would be okay with that, because then you could get them an extra day or two off because the following week is a Monday night game at New England. So if they want to play on Saturday, you can sneak in a little bit more rest. But I had written down scheduled primetime games, and Miami, though, despite all of what I just said about McDermott and Bean possibly telling the league not to flex us, Miami could be flexed the 3rd of January if it's for the division and it doesn't affect any other scenarios.
Yeah.
But I don't really want to talk about whether they do or do not flex it. Clay, hello to the return of the Miami rivalry. Are you ready for this to come back?
Absolutely. I talked about this on Tuesday with Judge and Joe. It's going to be a battle, I think, from here out. I mean, Tua has only played 3 games. There's almost no film on him. I don't want to hear any talk right now about what Tua is and what Tua isn't, because we don't know what Tua is right now. So throwing that out, they have a great defense. They have a lot of draft picks. They have a lot of cap space. They're a team that's in a great position right now, the Dolphins, that is, to build their team and to boot, they have a great head coach. I think what Brian Flores is doing down there is amazing. He's very disciplined. I think he has potential to be the best coach coming out of the Bill Belichick coaching tree. I think he's a great coach. I think that rivalry is definitely going to return, especially if Tua pans out into the player that the national media thinks he already is. Because if he can, I think it's going to be another, Kelly Marino with Allen and Tagovailoa, because a couple of great teams, a couple of great coaches. I'm excited for it because it's one of the best rivalries in football. And, if you think back to those late 80s, early 90s, those were games that Bills fans were looking forward to, especially with the history of Ralph Wilson. The whole reason that he did Miami so much, he wanted to start his team in Miami, and they said no. So I think that the history behind it is great. The years of turmoil on both sides where there was domination and then, competition. That's what a great rivalry is. So having that competition come back is really exciting.
Now, I was reading some comments trying to produce the show, and I just want to make sure I heard you. I heard you say Ralph Wilson, but did you mention how he kept the Bills in the East when they did division realignment? Because the Bills could have very easily gone to the North with Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and Cleveland, but Ralph Wilson stuck it to the league and said, I want to stay in the East with the Miami Dolphins because we have that rivalry. Is that what you said?
I said it was along those lines. I said the original reason that he hated the Dolphins so much is because he originally wanted to start his franchise in Miami.
Okay.
But they said no. He went to Buffalo, and then a couple years later, someone started one in Miami. So he was not happy about that.
Yeah, and but I do know that in the 2002 realignment, he wanted to keep that rivalry with the Dolphins going. I love all the squish the fish comments that are coming in. The old-time Buffalo Bills fans remember the Don Shula years, the rivalries with Dan Marino. I'm old enough to remember Brian Cox Sr. Giving the double bird to Bills fans. And I believe it was it Jimmy Johnson was the Dolphins coach at the time when he stomped on the Flutie Flakes. Somebody correct me if I'm remembering that right, because I still was a kid at that time. Jimmy Johnson stomping on the Flutie Flakes. Get in the comment section, correct me on that. I want to say hello to a Bills quarterback leading the league in passing with a Bills wide receiver leading the league in receiving. And we all know that Josh Allen going into this week was leading the league in passing yards, and Stefan Diggs was leading the league in yards, targets, and receptions. So it looks like, Zach, that Big Baller Beans move this offseason to bring in Stefan Diggs has really helped. You saying hello to this the rest of the season?
Well, before I get to that, I just want to say Green Buffalo said I looked like Harrison Phillips. I've never gotten that before, but it's pretty hilarious because I just looked into that and it's not that far off. So that's pretty damn funny. And I'm not over exaggerating when I say this. The acquisition of Stefan Diggs is the greatest acquisition for the Buffalo Bills in the last 20 years. And by far in my life, the way it has panned out and the way it has panned out so quickly, It's unbelievable. I mean, really give it a deep thought. When's the last time the Bills had a bona fide number 1 wide receiver, or at least maybe even a top 5 wide receiver? I really can't think of one. I also can't think of the last time the Bills made a blockbuster move for a guy that completely altered their offense for the better. We're talking at least a touchdown and a half better compared to last year with the acquisition of Stefan Diggs. And he just so happens to be the number 1 wide receiver in the NFL right now. I mean, it's unbelievable. The move that being made to get Diggs was the best move in my life. And it wasn't like we overreached. I did not want to go to the draft and take a risk on a rookie wide receiver. And even though Justin Jefferson has panned out for the Vikings, there's just no way of knowing that. I mean, good for the Vikings for making it work. But for the Bills, we've drafted Sammy Watkins. We've done this before. We get Zay Jones. Like, these things don't pan out all the time. They went out. They got a guy who is already proven. And even though there was things surrounding, the acquisition, maybe he'd be trouble for the locker room, that was complete BS. He's come in. He's been a leader, very well respected in Buffalo. And I think nobody is Josh Allen's biggest fan more than Stefan Diggs. I mean, they seem to have the greatest chemistry, a great relationship. I just can't say enough about this acquisition for Stefan Diggs, and I am so stoked that he's in Buffalo. He's completely changed the team for the better.
Clay, earlier this week, it was tweeted out that Josh Allen finally bumped up his career percentage in passing and completion percentage. He's got the Josh Jacks on screen. Way to go, Zach B. You guys both must be in Buffalo because I don't have access to that, and I don't want to pay exorbitant amounts on eBay.
Are they reselling? I haven't even looked.
I'm out in the mountains. I'm out in the mountains, Mountain West. If anything, it would be a Denver Broncos branded something that I don't want any part of.
The Drew Lock Cheerios, yeah, those are selling pretty well, I'm sure.
The Lockios or something.
Yeah.
Now I forget what I was talking about. Oh yeah, Clay. Josh Allen got his career completion percentage up to above 60% for the first time. I don't think he does that without our wide receivers. And I don't think our wide receivers are as good without Stefan Diggs. So it seems like the Diggs acquisition has made a huge impact across the board for the offense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, getting Stefan Diggs was perfect for it. It just made everything come together because Dable needed that number 1 guy to scheme into his system that he can target 10 times a game on a consistent basis. And Josh needed the guy that he could throw it to 10 times and get, 8 catches at least out of that. He's had a couple drops, Josh doesn't hit him every time, but that was something that the team needed to have. And like you said, coming in, he's helping everybody else out now. Particularly, he's become very good friends with Gabriel Davis, who is a guy that eventually is going to have to step into a number 2 role because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we lose John Brown before we lose Cole Beasley. So I think we have one less year with John Brown. That's going to be Gabe Davis's time to step up and play that number 2 position. It could come before that if John Brown, continues down this path of injuries or he starts to decline. He hasn't done that yet. The injuries, a different story. But so I mean, that acquisition was exactly what the Bills needed. It's exactly what Allen needed, exactly what Dable needed. And it really was able to completely transform the offensive scheme that they were able to do because they have a proven number 1 guy. And I like what Zach said too about going out and getting a guy that has proven he can do it in the league, because historically the Bills have not done great drafting wide receivers. There's been a number of busts. I think the only good one in recent memory for me is Robert Woods. He was kind of the one that actually panned out into being a good wide receiver. Everyone else was pretty much a bust. I mean, it definitely was, very important to be able to get that guy that we knew could do it.
All right, I think I hit on a valve here, just because the Miami rivalry is bringing up so many comments, and we got a super chat from Rich G, and I said I'd bring back the train horn for the super chat. So train horn, here you go. Buffalo Bills app right there.
I miss hearing that so much. Oh my God.
I know a lot of people complain about it, but I think just about every member of Bills Mafia would give anything to be in the stadium for one of those. Rich G, thank you for the super chat. January 17th, 1993, AFC Championship game. Buffalo at Miami. Buffalo 29-10. This bump. Yeah, I would have been 6 at the time. I would have just turned 6, so I don't remember a whole lot about that game. But I do remember some of those Miami games in the mid-90s. So, Rich G, thank you for getting in on that. Hey, if it came to it and we could get Pittsburgh and Kansas City out of the playoffs and maybe the path goes through Buffalo, Miami at Buffalo AFC Championship game this year, that would be a lot of fun. Zach, anything else you want to say hello to?
I think we should say hello to the top 10. When I say top 10, I remember when I was a kid, I'm obsessed with power rankings and listings. I love them. I always have. It's a good barometer of what goes on with a lot of things, no matter what, whether it's sports or whatever else. I used to be obsessed with seeing where the Bills would be. And it was almost, it was awesome to see him crack the top 15 when I was growing up. I haven't seen him outside the top 10 other than a couple BS rankings from God knows who throughout the year. I haven't seen him outside of the top 10 all year. I don't think that's going to go anywhere anytime soon. I'm happy to say that, hello to the top tier NFL teams, the upper echelon of teams. I think the Bills are now getting that respect. They're now in that tier. And how about another goodbye? How about saying goodbye to mathematically trying to equate if the Bills are in the hunt come week 11? You know what I'm saying? Now we're at this point, and it's great.
As Bills fans, we always enjoyed that in the drought years, even though we knew we probably weren't going to make the playoffs.
Agreed.
Let's say hello to figuring out how mathematically we can get the number 1 seed. We just bumped up from how can we get into the playoffs to how do we get the number 1 seed. I like that. Hello. Clay, have you figured out the puzzle yet? How do we get the number 1 seed? We have to beat Pittsburgh and get some help.
You got to win out at this point. I mean, you have to beat Pittsburgh, and they need a couple more losses. So, if we get a tiebreaker, they need to have 3 losses going into it. Going into the playoffs, no matter what. If you want the number 1 seed, we would have a head-to-head winner, and then we would need the Chiefs to lose 2 because we don't have a head-to-head tiebreaker with them. So Chiefs would need 4 losses, Steelers would need 3. We would have to win out, and then we'd be able to do it. I do want to address a couple comments, though. People were talking about me saying Sammy Watkins was a bust. Sammy Watkins isn't a bust in the terms of he is a terrible wide receiver. Sammy Watkins is a bust in terms of we traded up to the number 4 spot to get Sammy Watkins, passed on Khalil Mack, and there were other guys in the draft further down at wide receiver, Odell Beckham Jr., Mike Evans, Allen Robinson. These guys all panned out into much better wide receivers than Sammy Watkins. So yes, Sammy Watkins was a bust, and you can't change my mind.
I don't disagree with you there. All right, it is Rico's 36th birthday. Rico, happy birthday. I want to say hello to Rico out there. This is his show, The Rico Report. And guys, I'm going to say hello to Rico with a question to you two, because the first time I turned on Rico after being invited on to host the Sunday pregame, the tailgate, I listened to him for the first time, and he asked his guest, is a fillet of fish a burger? And now I had a very strong opinion on this because I have a question that I like to ask people. And so, Rico, this is my hello to you. Is a hot dog a sandwich? Think this one through. Is a hot dog a sandwich? And Zach, I'm going to start with you. And if you don't have the right answer, I'm going to remove you from the studio here.
You know what's funny about that question? My buddy just got into law school. He started this past semester. That was one of the initiation questions for his law class. It was to argue one way or the other in law terms if it's a sandwich or not. I say yes, it's a sandwich. I think it could be categorized as a sandwich based on how you go about, topping it, putting it between bread, the way you eat it. It's an anomaly because there's really nothing else like it. But to me, if something's between 2 things of bread and you're putting a bunch of stuff on it and eating it with your hands, it's a sandwich.
Clay, please tell me you disagree with him.
It depends on what you categorize as a sandwich. I mean, like you need to have your definition in there, or you can't, or it's going to be a moot point that you argue it every time. You know, if it's if the definition is meat and bread, it's a sandwich. You know, but if in its truest definition, a sandwich is meat and bread, sure, a hot dog's a sandwich. But then you would have to say anything else that has meat and bread is a sandwich. A corn dog, I guess you would have to say is a sandwich. So I don't know if you can categorize it like that. It's like trying to say what a good quarterback is. You know, it's like, oh, what is a good quarterback? Hey, Lamar Jackson's a good quarterback. He runs for a lot of his yards. So I mean, yeah, just because he runs for a lot of his yards and then throws a bunch of touchdowns doesn't make him a bad quarterback. He's just not a pass first quarterback. He's still good, but you know, does that make him bad? No. It just what's your definition? You know.
Jeff seems passionate about it. Why is it not a sandwich, Jeff? Because you seem very passionate about it.
Just because we had this argument for years in the newsroom with one of my co-sports anchors, Chris Rankel, and a good friend of ours, Tyler Berg, in the local News 8 newsroom. And I just had to go no, because I'm a lot of times I'm just a contrarian, and it is not a sandwich. And I can make the argument that a hot dog is more of a burger because it is beef between a bun, and that a fillet of fish is more of a sandwich than it is a burger. So if you can follow my maybe not so circular nor straight line logic there, I don't think a hot dog is a sandwich, because a hot dog is a hot dog. That's where I go with it. The literal definition of it is it's a hot dog. It's encased meat on a bun. And it's not technically in between two pieces of bread. It is in the middle of one piece of bread.
Well, that's whether or not you're having a ghetto hot dog, though. When you run out of hot dog buns and you put it between two slices of bread, you ever had one of those? Now that's a sandwich. Yeah. Jeff. I think we've all been there before. You're running out of the buns. You got to pick up a couple slices of bread. Next thing you know, you're having a hot dog sandwich, I guess.
All right, Clay.
Wait. You just said hot dog sandwich. So is the
I'm contradicting myself.
Oh,
I'm contradicting myself a little bit. That by the pure definition.
Wait. Pierre is gaslighting this right now. Pierre, how?
Whoa, no way. He just said that.
No way. Pierre.
No, dude.
We're gonna have to have a talk.
Lying.
We got to have a talk with Rico about Pierre's shares in Buffalo Fanatics.
He's got to be kidding, though. He's just trying to juice us up. There's no way.
Yeah. All right, Pierre. There's a commercial with Jake from State Farm with the pizza delivery driver who brings the bucket of ranch with all the pizza, and every time I see it, I want to put my fist through the TV. Or the company that shall not be named that does the Major Ranch brand in America. They shall not be named. I don't even want to bring it up anymore. Pierre, thank you for gaslighting us. The final thing we're going to say hello to tonight, Clay is very familiar with. Zach, this will be your introduction to it. Clay, what am I reaching for?
You're reaching for the bucket.
Oh, the construction helmet of death. Oh, yeah. Zach, do you know what's going on? Do you know what's going to happen?
I don't. I'm looking forward to it, though. For some reason, that reminded me of the little caps you get the ice cream in at the baseball game. That's where my thought went for.
Well, yeah. You know what? If I got a Bills construction, this would fit on my head if I dumped out all the mini helmets. If I got a construction helmet full of ice cream, I would be in heaven.
Oh, that would be so
maybe
good.
You get some little Billy Buffalo sprinkles, you know.
Now you're talking.
All right, Clay. Since we don't have Judge, Mitch, Tilt, or Nap on with us, the three of us are going to pick for them. And there are no rules to this, Clay, so you know that Judge, Mitch, Tilt, and Nap cannot defend themselves with these picks. So if you have not seen me do this, tune in to the Buffalo Tailgate Sunday mornings before Bills games. I think we got a week off this week. And we do a little construction helmet of death. Quick rules for Zach B and for anybody watching for the first time. I literally pick out of the mini helmets, and it's kind of a survivor pool type. You can reject your first pick, but if you do that, you are automatically locked into your second pick, and there is no backing out. So if you pick, I don't know, the Steelers, and for whatever reason you want to pick against them, and then the second helmet is the Jets. Your SOL. So why don't the three of us go first? Because that'll give us the best odds. And Zach, you're new, so I will give you very first pick.
This is for like a bet or just like who
It's
I
just
picked to win?
standings.
Okay.
Maybe there's a punishment for the loser.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm 1-1 right now, so
Let's see what we got.
Okay, Zach. Oh, all righty. Your first helmet is Kansas City Chiefs.
I'll stop you there. No way in
I gotta
hell
actually-
the Chiefs lose twice to the Raiders. I think they play the Raiders this week, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, I got to actually pick up my tablet here. I didn't even have that ready.
yeah, Chiefs.
If I could
Raiders.
find it. Thank you for helping me out, guys. Yeah, all the way down. That's the Sunday night game at the Toilet Bowl in Las Vegas. Chiefs at Raiders. So you're gonna pick that one out and keep it.
Yeah, I will stick with that. There's no way they lose to him twice. So
The toilet
Okay,
bowl. I haven't had that one yet.
Vladimir Ostrovsky. Soup is a drink. Yeah, I mean you can eat soup out of a cup without. I mean, if you're not going to put crackers or anything in it.
I saw a guy on shotgun a can of soup on the internet the other day. He was probably Bill's Mafia. I wouldn't be surprised.
that's awesome. I can see
All right,
that going
so
down.
I got Zach. Zach went first. All right, now Clay. Your turn. What happened to you last week? You had a Cowboys.
I got the oh right. I mean I'm 2-1 then because I got a freebie. I did lose. I had the Chargers 1 week though. I picked them against the Dolphins. I think it was.
All right, here we go. I'm not looking. I'm staring at the camera. Clay's first helmet. The Browns.
Oh boy.
And the Browns.
Browns
let's see.
Eagles.
Ooh, the Browns right there.
Yeah, I'll take the Browns. I don't feel confident about it, but I'll take the Browns just because I'm scared if I put it back, I'll get somebody even worse. So the Eagles are terrible. I'm going to play off of that. Hopefully the Browns can do something.
All right, here we go. Here's my pick. I got the Texans. Texans are not on a bye, and I don't trust them. Let's see.
Patriots.
They have. No, I'm putting them back. Goodbye to the Texans. Oh, I'm locked in. Crap. I should get a Notre Dame helmet and put it in here as a golden helmet of life. Oh, F me.
Woof.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, they're playing the Steelers this week.
Oh, yeah. Yay. All
we
right.
could use that win though. We could use a win for you. That's for sure.
Yeah, we need it if we want to.
I mean, do we want to crown Saint Marone for beating the Steelers though? I don't know.
Yeah, St. Doug. I don't know if he's got that in him.
Area.
Did he fire Nathaniel Hackett again? I feel like that he goes through a cycle where he hires him and fires him. Is he we're at the fire cycle right now?
I have no idea. You know what? I just prefer not to think about punting from the 35 with Doug Marone. So, all right. So I brought the karma on myself because what we're about to do to the next few guys, Judge, Mitch, Tilt, and Knapp, they don't get to pick. We get to pick for them. So it's going to be a consensus. The three of us decide. Okay. So we're going to go with Judge is leading. Judge is leading, and he gets the Lions. They're not on a bye.
Lions against the Panthers.
Should we put it back? I mean, we want to go for a loss. Judge is 3-0.
I think the Lions win. So if that's what your goal is.
Yeah, I'd say
the
keep
Lions
it.
Win?
I don't think the Lions win. Put it to a vote. I'm going to go thumbs down.
Oh, I mean, I just want to make it clear. We are trying to get them losses, right?
Oh, if we are, then yeah, keep them.
Keep the Lions? Zach, you said you think the Lions win.
I mean, it's going to be a good game. Those teams are about as even as it gets. So if you're looking for him to lose, I think it's a toss-up if you keep the Lions right there.
I lived in Michigan, and I kind of have a soft spot for the Lions just a little bit because, Lake Erie and all. I'm going to throw it back.
Here we go.
Let's see if we can get something worse. Maybe we can get the Jets. Oh, if I pull the Steelers, I'm going to be mad. Same game, Panthers.
Wow.
Oh, well.
All right, there it is. Meant to be.
It is then. Yeah.
All right, so Judge gets the Panthers. I got to write this down. So Zach, Clay,
It's
me,
recorded.
Judge. I'm not putting the time in and going back to watch it. Are you kidding me?
120 mark.
All right. So now we got Mitch. Mitch is 2-0. He did not pick last week because he did not appear on the pregame show. Mitch picked 2 helmets at once. He got the Steelers. We're throwing that one back, right, guys?
Put it back. Yeah, I'll put it back.
Who are they playing?
The Jags.
Oh, yeah, that's right. How did I forget that? Okay. Packers.
Well,
The Colts. They're playing at the Colts, so
Colts.
I like
That's a
it.
losable game. It's a losable game.
well, losable game, I think.
Yeah. It'll be a good one.
Who are the Colts, by the way? You know, I can't figure them out to save my life.
The Colts, I looked up the stats on defense the other day. The Colts have like so few missed tackles. I think they have like 20 total missed tackles on the season, which is less than half of what the Bills have. It's like still 15 less than what the next team has. So I don't know what's going on. We need one of their defensive coaches in Buffalo to teach us how to tackle.
Damn.
You know, that reminds me of a stat I read going into the Arizona game about Larry Fitzgerald, how he had more career tackles than drops.
Yeah.
And the Bills lucked out and had him with a drop that went for an interception. So, if we could get some of that Colts defense, maybe it's that Frank Reich magic rubbing off on the defensive side of the ball, because I don't think it's rubbing off on Phillip Rivers exactly throughout this season. All right, so we got Mitch. Now we need tilt. We're going for the Jets here, guys, at all costs. We got the Raiders. I would take the Raiders because they're playing the Chiefs in Las Vegas, and I think the Chiefs have it out for them after losing to the Raiders earlier.
Yeah,
there was a rumor that came out. Oh, go ahead, Clay.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think that's a toss-up game, just because – I don't know. I think it's a great coaching matchup more than anything. Both quarterbacks are very good. Both defenses are okay. I think they're set up to have a close game anytime they play.
There was a rumor that came out. The Chiefs bus or the Raiders bus circled the Chiefs stadium after they won, kind of like taunting or whatever. I think the Chiefs absolutely murdered the Raiders on Sunday night. Mahomes had an interview about it too. So.
Well, you know, part of that rumor, they thought the bus driver had gotten lost as well. But, it's nothing compared to what Bills Mafia could do to a Dallas Cowboys bus driving into the stadium on a Monday night in 2007. I don't know if you remember that, but that bus got egged, both of them. 2007 Monday night football game. Oh, yeah, I was standing there on Abbott Drive as the buses went by with the police escorts, and they were covered in eggs, and I just laughed.
That was one of the worst losses ever.
J Clip 80 says Raiders got this win. Do we keep it or do we put it back?
Leave it to chance. Put it back.
All right, Tilt, we're putting the Raiders back for you. The Titans. And the Titans have the Ravens.
Yeah, that'll be a good one. That'll be a good matchup. Ravens coming off a loss. They're going to be hungry.
Bad loss, yeah.
The Titans, we don't really know what's up with the Titans.
They're kind of weird.
Or the Ravens, too. Those are two teams very similar to me. I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, Lamar Jackson definitely has come back down to earth. You almost always see that with MVPs early on in their careers. They come right back down to earth. And I think he said something about how defenses were calling out their plays at the line. So maybe John Harbaugh's got something to fix there in Baltimore. And our final pick one. Yeah, familiar with that as Bills fans. The final person we have to pick for is Nap. Nap, again, thank you for having me on your podcast this week. And we're going for the Jets. I want somebody to pick the Jets. That way we can just accept it and move on. Remember, if a team is on a bye week, that's an automatic victory because they're not losing. The Bucks. Bucks are not on a bye week.
The Rams. It's going to be a good one.
They have that's the Monday night game. Bucks and Rams for Nap. Nap, do you want it? Clay, what do you think?
That's a tough one. I mean,
Should we stick him with Tom Brady?
The Bucks are kind of a weird team. I don't know. I think Aaron Donald's going to cause some trouble for Tom Brady. I would keep that.
The Bucks are coming off a weird loss too, and I just dropped that one.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I don't know. Aaron Donald caused trouble for athletic QBs. So if Cement Shoes Brady is going to stand back there and try to outmaneuver him, it's not going to work.
Zach, do we put it back?
Well, the Bucks actually killed the Panthers last week. The really bad loss was the week before. So
week before, okay.
They're weird, like Clay said. I mean, that's just the NFL this year, man. There are a lot of weird things happening. There is no consistency. But if you're looking for Nap to lose, man, I don't know if I'd let him have Tom Brady on Monday night.
All right, Nap, you're going back. You're going back. All right. Redskins.
Oh, there you go.
The Washington football team, I should say.
How dare you?
It's an old helmet. I saw the logo and it just came to mind that it's the Washington football team. My apologies.
Oh, they're on a bye.
Football team. No, they have the Bengals.
Never mind. Yep, you're right.
Bengals.
Ooh, the Bengals.
The Bengals can win that game.
How about Joey B? Joey B going into Washington to take on the Maroon and Golds.
I like Joe Burrow. I've been a big fan. Him and Herbert both have been, really showing out. I think Joe Burrow's got a hell of a career ahead of him. He's struggling this year because he doesn't have a team around him. It's probably going to be, Peyton Manning type of situation where he does really bad his rookie year record wise. And then from there on out, they build around him and they start to get better every year. I don't know if I can, I don't know how head coach wise, if that's going to stick around for a while, but yeah, I think Joe Burrow's got a great career ahead of him.
I love the moxie out of Joe Burrow. I really do. I think it will be everlasting for quarterback fans seeing him come out of the tunnel for the final time at LSU with the Burrow, EAUX, on the back of his jersey. If the Bills were in the number one spot, I definitely would have wanted them to take him, but certainly happy with Josh Allen and wouldn't trade Allen for Burrow. Guys, any final thoughts here before we say goodnight on the Rico report? And Clay, final thoughts. Start with you.
Yeah, I mean, coming out of a bye, McDermott hasn't lost out of a bye yet. My biggest thing is figure out the offensive line. And the other thing for me is Matt Milano is eligible to return off of IR. He's eligible to start practicing for Chargers week, but I don't want to see him on the field practicing. And I don't want to see him activated until Steelers week. I want to get him rested and ready, put him in against the best team in the league, and then make sure he's there for the playoff run because the Bills defense needs him in the playoffs. So I want him to rest, get healthy, and he is the key, I think, to whether or not the Bills can make a deep playoff run.
That's interesting. That's an interesting thought because I don't think he's eligible for the Chargers game because it's a three-game. It's a three-game IR.
It's a 3-game, not a 3-week.
I thought it was a 3-game. I could be wrong. Someone get us.
All the rules are new and different, but
yeah, that's true.
We love new and different.
I know for a fact Sal Capaccio said that it is week from what I read. So
is it 3 week? Okay. I could be wrong. I will never not say that I could be wrong. So that's the first I've heard of that strategy though, is to sit Matt Milano until the Pittsburgh game. I'd be okay with that because the Chargers and the 49ers look to be winnable games without having a top-notch defense. Zach, give me your final thoughts before we end the Rico report on Rico's 36th birthday.
Well, I'm reading the comments here. Maybe it is 3 games, and maybe I read it wrong. I don't know. I want Milano back, man. So I'm hoping it's 3 weeks. I have no idea, but
let him get healthy.
Yeah, I know. I mean, he just can't stay. I had a long conversation with somebody this week. Like, what do you do with Milano at the end of the year? Because it's a contract year for him, and as good as he is, he just can't stay on the field. It's a really tough situation. Last thing for me,
Davis or Williams.
I know. Well, there's so many signings. That's the thing. I mean, you're going to have to figure something out. If I'm him, I'm willing to take a cut, knowing that he's injury prone, probably wants to stay in Buffalo. I don't know. We'll see.
He's going to maximize his time on the field in the paycheck. Anybody would be dumb not to do that. To on your second contract, take a hometown discount. Now, if he were going for his third or fourth contract, maybe somebody like a Lorenzo Alexander later in his career, then you give the hometown discount to stay around. But this is the contract most guys tend to make the most money in their career, is that second contract. And I don't doubt that there's going to be somebody who will pay him. We saw the Cardinals steal Jordan Phillips because Jordan Phillips could maximize his value out there. So if Matt Milano doesn't get even a $10 million, $11 million a year offer from the Bills, he's going to be looking for that 12, 13, maybe $14 million offer elsewhere. We got players to sign, and Big Baller Bean has a budget. This was one of the things I argued with everybody on the Nap Knows Bills podcast in the Twitter comment section. The budget is not only money, though, it is also time. We don't have time with Matt Milano except for these final 6 games, unless they somehow pull out the franchise tag. I don't know how the rules work on the franchise tag, but budgeting time, and I'm going to bring it up on the show. His name is Dawson Knox. Give it patience. Give it the process. He was a quarterback in high school. He was not used as a receiving tight end in college. He was blocking tight end. And we got to give him a chance to process, because that's what Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane want to use. They want to develop their own players. And this is going to be the guy that will be an example of development. I think Josh Allen is the shining example, but this will be a guy as an example for development. You can take a guy who maybe you view as out of position and turn him into something that you want him to be. Any thoughts on Dawson Knox before we get going? Clay?
I've had it with him.
I don't know. It's only his second season, right? It's only his second season in the NFL. Yeah, I mean, I going through some of the film, I didn't mind watching that Arizona game. His blocking is better than Crofts, and even at times better than Lee Smith. There were a couple times where Lee Smith was running past guys that he was definitely supposed to be blocking. I don't care if it wasn't the guy who he was assigned to. Don't run past a guy and not touch him. So Dawson Knox, he's aggressive at the point of contact, which I really like. I think if we can correct the drops, correct the fumbles, those are things that you're able to fix for the most part. So, and he can make the big plays. He can catch the ball. We've seen him make these spectacular acrobatic catches. He can do it. I think he's just in his head a little bit too much when the ball's flying at him and he knows it's an easy catch. So I say give him time. He, as long as he's under contract, give him time to grow. When it comes time to sign the contract, that'll determine his value on whether or not, is it worth the money to re-sign him? Maybe not. So, I mean, that comment, that's really funny. Lee equals false start.
That is a good one. One of the things with the tight end position, though, is I do believe that they restructured Tyler Croft's deal so that he is a free agent after the season. I could be remembering that wrong, but I'm pretty sure that Tyler Croft is a free agent after the season. So that puts the position in flux just a little bit, because if this is what Dawson Knox's floor is, you might want to go out and get somebody to bring into the room to go along with Dawson Knox's rookie contract. So we'll leave it on Dawson Knox, guys. Thank you for joining the Rico Report. I am Jeff Landers. That's Clay Troya and my man Zach B, who hung out with us on Rico's 36th birthday. Happy birthday to Rico, and thank you for letting me host on your show, guys. Before we go, let's go Buffalo.
Go Bills, baby.
Go Bills. Enjoy the bye week. I always kind of enjoy them because you don't have any pressure on anything. You just get to watch football and not freak out. So enjoy it, everybody.
Yeah, go hang the Christmas lights this weekend.
Yeah, right. Get it out of the way.
I got a tree right behind the banner here.
Love it.
Nice. Maybe next time use that as your background.
Definitely could. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, fellas, you have a good night, and hopefully I get to see you guys again soon. This has been the Rico Report by Buffalo Fanatics, brought to you by Manscaped.